Okay, everyone, welcome to Level Up Training. Today we have a special guest, Sammy Rogers. I'm going to make a short introduction about him. So this call will be on English, like one of the previous ones. I believe most of the people understand English. If not, I would suggest highly learning English because it's essential for actually navigating the markets. One of the also I will just mention I will because I made a habit to walk during my call, so I will walk again. I feel in a really good mood and energy when I hold these trainings while I walk. So just to mention that. Okay, I met Sammy actually in my favorite city right now, Da Nang. I believe it's his favorite city, Da Nang, in Vietnam as well. And I met him. You can turn on the camera, Sammy. So I met him actually. Uh, we were doing ice bet with some group on the beach, and he was weird, loud yelling guy running at the beach. Like, who the fuck is this guy? And then I realized just a few weeks later that actually he's holding sessions in his community on self-development, systems, habits, different trainings, and it's called School of You. And I was like, okay, let me go there and just see what he's doing up there. And so I went there, and from the first session, he blew my mind. I don't know why I never and actually I don't know why I never had the idea to bring you even before to this type of trainings, but it's fine, it's never too late. And what I realized, actually certain ideas that I learned from him were such a huge value that I believe those things that you're going to learn today are also going to be out of big value for you as well. And yeah, Sammy, so you can turn on audio right now. You can say something about yourself, and then you're going to jump straight to conversation.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me. Really excited to be here and to talk about. Um, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you
Oh,
right.
okay. I guess, I guess it's just connected to my phone. That's all right, I guess. All right. You can still see me and hear me. All right. Cool. Yeah. So my name, Sam, if you don't know already, and yeah, it's a blessing to be here. And we met in Da Nang. We did, and I just love doing ice baths. Honestly, like we can talk about this a little bit later, but ice baths have been one of the core foundations for my entire life when it comes to discipline and emotional regulation. And if I found this tool earlier, I think, especially when I was trading, because I'm very familiar with trading, and I actually was doing day trading and forex for about 2 years. But I stopped doing that for a while just because I want to do long positions. And it's been so incredible to just dive into the psychological aspects, the body, and the somatic information when it comes to everything about trading, but not trading, because a lot of actual information and ways of going and trading can relate to life as well. And I have been diving into this world of understanding human behavior and psychology for such a long time that helps me be able to transform every single area of my life, because I find that this game is more internal than it is external, especially when it comes to just getting what you want. And that's the most important thing. And it's extremely hard inside of trading because we're emotional when we trade. And we have to know how to be disciplined and hold ourselves to execution, especially when trading. And I'm so excited to talk about this with you guys today and figure out how we can just support you, whatever it is that you want to talk about and ask questions on. And I'm here to answer any questions when it comes to my systems, my routines, my habits, anything like that.
Excellent. So I want to talk about one thing that I heard it many times, but when I was on one of your classes, also want to mention that Sam is really, really young. I think you have 24, 25, something around those lines. and
Yeah.
like the guy knows so much and he's super amazing. So uh, I I believe you're going to learn so much from him today. So there's one thing that you mentioned on one of your classes. If I don't know what was the exact sentence, that was a few months ago, but you said if there's one thing, like what's your definition of success? Like that actually that was your question. When you mentioned what was your definition of success, people saying, oh, okay, my definition of success is I don't know, um, to have XYZ, to have beautiful wife, to whatever it is, to be recognized around the world, whatever that is. But actually, at that moment, you said one really, really simple thing. What was your definition of success? But then I started thinking, if I could step in those shoes, for me, definition of success would be, I said to myself, if I do that one thing, everything else would fall into the place. And I said, if I close my charts when I open a trade, everything else would fall into the place. I wouldn't be emotional. I wouldn't be closing trades earlier. I would like there will be so many things falling to the place. Can you talk about that concept?
For sure. Yes. When we talk about success, a lot of us, especially here in this market of trading, it's important to know what your definition of success is. And I think that when it comes to success, we cannot determine our success based on things outside of our control. When we try to do that, this was programmed, this was conditioned for me and millions of people throughout every single culture in the West, in the East, no matter where it is, that when you have money, when you have girls, when you have cars, when you have houses, you basically are winning and you're successful, right? And are any of those in my control? I think only one of them. Maybe if I have the money to buy a house or buy a car in the first place. But that makes success extremely hard when we try to base it off of things outside of our control. And so what I told you, Nicola, was how you create success was basically the aspect of winning internally. And that is based on what I can control. And so when I am realizing that I can create success based on the things like, oh, I did what I told myself I would do today, then I've won. I'm successful. And it's a really hard thing to grasp and to actually experience the feelings of success like that because most of the time you've been hardwired, you've been conditioned in your brain to believe success is just equal to money. When at the end of the day, if you want to feel successful and you want the actual property of success, you should flip the switch and have it be everything that you can control instead, because this will change everything for you and you will feel a lot lighter. You'll feel a lot less pressure. You'll feel much easier when you're losing because you realize that you're winning on the data internally. You are the data internally. When you complete a trade, when you execute, and when you finish and you take your profits, that's the data out. But everything that I did up to that point where I pressed the button, where I had my emotional stability, and where I told myself and followed the exact strategy that I told myself I would do, that is the data in. That is me winning, not what happens on the other end. I can't control that.
Okay, let's talk about some relatable examples right now. I mentioned that at the moment you made me think what would be my definition of success because I'm actually hardwired even like today. That's I mean it's been I mean 34 years old and it's been a long time since I was looking and listening and learning about those things, and I never realized that there is such a simple concept. If I do that one thing, what would be my definition of success? That to everything else would be so much easier. Everything else would fall into the place. having conversations with a lot of people and even your example, what would be relatable examples day to day? Let's say people working 9 to 5, or like just day trading, or like having a business. What would be relatable examples of success?
Hmm. Relatable examples of success. And you're talking about everything that I can control internally, correct? The things
Yes.
that I
So
do specifically well.
data output is the result of that one action.
Yeah. So let's say, for example, I have a goal of wanting to lose 15 pounds or 15 kilos. And this is something that is really common for a lot of people. And what are the steps to get to that goal? What are the steps to achieve that goal of losing 15 kilos? Well, first of all, it's not just one thing that you're going to do and then all of a sudden you'll lose 15 kilos. That's the outcome, right? But for me, if my idea is to become successful like that, and that's what I can feel successful from, then I need to realize that I can win in the small steps and the small wins. And so that means following my diet. And that's basically me telling myself I'm not going to eat any sugars, I'm not going to eat any bad proteins, or I'm not going to eat any bunch of carbs, whatever it is. I'm going to follow this diet as strictly as I told myself I would follow it in the first place. And so it's basically just me following exactly what I tell myself I will do. That's how I've created my definition of success. And that's how I've been able to create such ease and feel like I'm successful because I've just done exactly what I told myself I would do. And that is the hardest thing in trading because you may have this trade in front of you and you want to execute the trade, but you don't do it. And so you don't follow the exact step that you chose yourself and you told yourself you would do. And that is where your system can get, you lose a net. This is how I would explain it. You're always increasing your self-worth or decreasing your self-worth. And because trading is a lot about that, and it has to do with like the net negative or the net positive. So every time I follow through with something that I told myself I would do, my net positive increases. If I don't, so say for example, back to the diet example, and I start to eat a bar of chocolate, and I go eat some chocolate, I eat a bunch of fried food. This is me increasing my net negative. And so now my self worth is getting lower because I'm not following my diet. I'm not following what I told myself I would do. And this is extremely important in all areas of your life. If you say you're going to wake up at 6 a.m., you have to wake up at 6 a.m. If you're going to tell your partner you're going to have a conversation with her, then you have to go and have that conversation with her, no matter how hard it's going to be. And especially in trading, you must follow through and execute what you tell yourself you're going to do. And I know it's so hard because the emotions get in the way. And that's also how we also feel within this day to day. If I want to wake up at 6 a.m., but I'm so tired and I don't want to get up, it feels so comfortable in bed. And this happens to me too. I must do whatever it takes and find out little tools, little strategies to keep this successful feeling going, to increase my net positive.
Let's talk about those things now. So, Sam is a big Google Sheet guy. His life is in Google Sheets, and I love that. Actually, my life is in Google Sheets right now. I'm also using additionally Notion, but that's just an addition to the system I'm using now. So, uh, let's say if there's one thing that you could apply to different people, doesn't have to be in trading. It can be people that are working 9 to 5. It can be people that are having businesses. It can be freelancers, IT uh, experts, and so forth. What would be the key steps for keeping certain routines in place? Like how how can I, let's say I never experienced building the systems. Always heard, okay, I need to shoot for the goals. Let's say I need to make 10,000 a month. Okay, so I'm going for that goal. But if I'm going for that goal and I don't have a vehicle to lead me there, then I'm going to get lost. So for somebody that didn't have systems in place and certain things like routines or whatever, how can somebody start right now?
It's a great question. It's like for me, it's been the whole foundation for my entire life is routines. Because every single time I know if I'm feeling down or if I'm feeling overwhelmed or if I'm feeling whatever I'm feeling, I have a routine in place. I have a system in place to help me regulate that and change the feeling into something empowering. And so, for anyone that wants to keep a routine and also start a routine, I wouldn't overwhelm yourself with trying to do like a bunch of different things. And this actually used to be me because I was having like a 2 hour morning routine. And this was so draining on me because I tried to fit so much in that I also forgot a lot about a lot of things. And so, if you want to build a habit and a routine, basically, a routine is a structure. It's like a system where there's a bunch of little habits inside of it. And that creates it to be a routine. And for you to create a full routine, you must start with one habit you want to build. And so the way we understand how to build a habit is actually you have already experienced this already. Anytime you probably log onto your computer, you'll most likely already are following a habit by going and checking your charts. And so what's happening is there is a queue. The queue is your computer. So it's a sensatory physical thing. And whenever I open my computer and I'm thinking about the dopamine release, the pleasure release that my brain and body want from going into my charts and being checking it and seeing if maybe my trade is going well or if not, this is already a habit. And so there's 3 steps in a habit: the cue, the beginning, it's like a trigger; the routine, the actual process of opening my computer and going and checking my charts; and then the reward, which is the payoff. And that's the dopamine being released at the end. And so, for example, if you want to build a routine, you have to stack small habits, what we call habit stacking. And this is one habit after the other, after the other. And so for me, let's say I wanted to build this habit of taking an ice bath every single day. I have to know the cue first. And so for me, in this instance, my cue is at 1 p.m. Okay. So it's a time, and that's okay. That works for a cue as well. It's a trigger of a time cue. Now, the next part is the routine. And for me to actually want to do it in the first place, I need to see the reward. I need to see the payoff in the end. And so our brain and body are very addicted to dopamine, to attract dopamine and to crave it, and to remove cortisol, which is the stress hormone, right? It's the pain. We want to remove pain and go towards pleasure. And so I want to think about all the ways that I can remove more pain and go towards more pleasure. And when I know those things, I can then make the reward seem so wonderful in my head, like taking an ice bath. I know it's going to be painful at front, but I actually think about how stressful it is and how it's actually helping my body and my mind calm myself down because of how painful it is. And it's treating me with a bunch of different variables on how I can execute more in my life. But then also the feeling afterwards of the crazy amount of neurotic effect in my body and the levels of sensations, that's incredible. And so I've focused on those things. That's the reward. And so now, as soon as it hits 1 p.m., I focus on the things that I'm going to get rewarded from when I take my ice bath, and the routine becomes extremely easy. It's just me doing it. And that's
No.
basically how you would build it.
So also that's a really important thing about the cues, and I think uh, let's say people I think don't people are not talking enough about starting certain routines. Okay, let's say I want to start a habit. I think the most important part is you need to make it as easier as possible to do a certain habit, and also to make it as difficult as possible to cut certain habits. So for example, let's say somebody wants to lose, I don't know, you said the goal to lose is 15 kilograms for a year. That's the goal. And in a way, there are certain obstacles: carbs, sugars, chocolates, pastries, and so forth. Okay, let's say in the beginning, I say, okay, no more pastries, no sugar, no nothing. But then in my house, I keep sweets, chocolates, cookies, all bunch of different things that I want to avoid. So it's so much harder to start a habit of saying no to sugar and no to certain things when it's so obvious, it's in front of your eyes. So if you want, like, let's say, cutting certain habits, you want to make them as difficult as possible. You need to go to the store or whatever you need to do to actually get that sugar. But then let's say we want to start a good habit. So for example, let's say Sammy wants to do ice bath every single day. And he said, I know it's good for my body. I know it's going to be really good for me. I'm going to start this habit. I'm going to execute it every day. If uh, ice bath facility is, let's say, 5 minutes from him, doing it maybe every day would be a bit harder. So instead of that, Sam bought ice bath uh, I don't know, like a pool that he keeps in a backyard. And so he just needs to call ice man delivery guy to deliver the ice, and it's already set up. Or he can set up the system, say to the guy, every day at 1 p.m. I want you to bring me the ice. And so doing that habit became so much easier on a daily basis. Can you talk about those two aspects? Cutting bad habits and also doing good habits.
Mm. Yes. You see, when you want to cut bad habits, there's this thing that we can call inside of psychology called a self-binding strategy. And self-binding means there is something like a barrier between me and this habit that I have that's a bad habit. And so, for example, my phone. I want to create a self binding strategy when it comes to using my phone like an addiction, going on social media, scrolling a bunch, or just consuming so much of my phone that I forget what time it is. And I just don't even know what I'm doing on my phone. The way that I create a self binding strategy is by having a visual disruption, auditory disruption, a kinesthetic disruption. So that means something visual, something that you hear, or something within your body. And these things are creating a block. And this actually happened to me when I was, I'll be vulnerable with you guys here. When I was addicted to pornography, when I was younger, I had to create an extremely, extremely, extremely disciplined strategy when it comes to binding myself and blocking myself from even seeing any of the sites, seeing anything on those websites. And it was so hard to block it out. But the way that I did it was I first actually deleted, I got an application that all the similar sites that I would go on, it would block them as soon as I opened those websites up. So that is, first of all, a huge binding strategy right there that it blocks me from even checking it out. But then there's also, you can go onto different websites and, there's always a way around it. And that's what's really hard. You have to be so clear on why you want to break a habit, and you have to create the leverage. And what I mean by leverage is what I was talking about just a little bit earlier when it comes to knowing how badly you want a certain thing to happen. You want the good feelings, and you want to remove all of the negative feelings, the pain. You want to use this to your advantage. And I have a bunch of questions that I would ask you on basically helping you to understand how to create this leverage within you. And they're simple questions that trigger long term pleasure, short term pleasure, long term pain, and short term pain. And this helps me become more disciplined, okay, in removing habits like that. But also, it can help with taking on new habits, this exact like 4-question strategy. And this also helps if you're like, say, you want to just start to like you have a lot of chocolate in your house and you want to stop doing that. Another way is to block yourself 1 minute. So actually, I'll go back to my phone. So say I have an urge to jump on my phone and to go scroll. I want to prevent myself for 1 minute. So as soon as I experience the feeling of me, remember the cue, remember that cue is important. So if I experience that cue, but I tell myself I'm going to wait 1 minute, and then I wait 1 minute, and then I can go on it. The next time, I'm going to wait 3 minutes, and then I can go on it. The next time, I'm going to wait 5 minutes, and then I can go on it. And the next time, I can wait 10 minutes. So, as you see, this is what we can call exposure therapy. You're exposing yourself to binding yourself over time, exposing yourself over time by not jumping on your phone. You're preventing yourself, you're giving yourself a held back strategy. So this is the process that I would do also when I'm trying to build new habits. If I want to go to the gym and I don't go to the gym often and it's far away from me, the first thing I would do is just get my shoes on, my socks on, my clothes on, and then just get in the car. And as long as I got in the car, I can get out and I can go on with my day. The second part, do the same thing, but go to the actual gym and just stay there for 5 minutes. This is already building the habit. Second, and the third time, now you're going to go there and maybe go like 15 minutes, and then 30 minutes, and then 1 hour, and then you go an hour again, and an hour again, once a week, and then you bring it up to 3 times a week. So it's increasing the amount of time slowly. It's what we can also call progressive overload. You use this inside of training. You don't start off with 120 kilo barbell when you're trying to start on doing your bench press. You want to start off with just the bar, something so easy, or just dumbbells if you're not even that strong. You have to know your own abilities and what you have that is against you, but then also what are your strengths, right? And that's basically like a really, really, those are the key things when it comes to building habits and then also taking habits away.
I think the really important concept you just mentioned is I call it foot through the door. Uh, when I was in Da Nang, I was training jiu-jitsu. Maybe you know that Coach Jacob. He's also from America, as you are. And when I start training jiu-jitsu, I wanted to learn certain things faster. And you always think that in order to learn certain things, is that you need challenge. You need somebody to push you. I was always asking coach, why when we actually exercising, why why are we helping each other do certain moves? Why he just doesn't give me time and freedom and space for me to do certain moves? And then he said, okay, let me explain you. So he said, let's say you want to learn a certain move in jiu-jitsu. First of all, I need you to have a foot through the door. So when you have foot through the door, you already you already you already have done 50% of work. So he said the reason why he's helping you, if you do certain move certain amount of times, when it's a challenging situation, it's so much easily, it's so much easier to repeat. It's so much repeatable over time that you even forget. You don't even think about it. It's even when driving the car. So let's say you want to. It's really popular here in Balkans. In America, I know it's not. You drive automatic all the time, but in the Balkans, people are driving the shift stick. For- I forgot how it's called. And so in the beginning, it's so hard. You have to think about it all the time, but then eventually it becomes your second nature. And so even with the things you just mentioned, when you make it so easy, you get into gym for 5 minutes. Then the next time you get it for 10 minutes. Then, okay, let's say the first time you just talk with the receptionist. The next time you enter to the gym and leave your stuff and go back your home. And then you build up on that and it becomes much repeatable. Um, okay, so we can talk about another concept right now. Actually,
I can actually bring up something exactly for traders if you want
okay,
to,
okay, yeah,
uh,
go for it.
in regards to this. So if you got are you guys familiar with Mark Douglas? I'm sure you are. So
Mark
Mark
Douglas
Douglas,
is, yeah,
yeah, he knows a lot about thinking in probabilities. And so there is a really good way that you can actually execute and start to this foot through the door, in creating this progressive overload for yourself and starting to build discipline. But let me tell you something. 5% of people are actually able to do it on their own. 5% of people that are traders. And so what I'm about to tell you is extremely difficult, but it will absolutely change your game as a trader, especially if you can do it 2 to 3 times. The first thing you have to know is how much you're willing to lose, how much money you're willing to lose, because that's how much you need to do to test your strategy. And so what you're going to do is it's basically an exposure therapy for traders. And you will take a binary strategy and you're going to follow a trade 20 times. You will follow a trade the exact way you told yourself you would do with the right amount of budget that you told yourself in the beginning, from the beginning 20 days, how much you're willing to lose. You're only going to segment it out for the entire time. You take the exact trade 20 times and you follow it exactly the way you told yourself you would. And if you do that, then you are a huge in the game. You don't react. And that is a very hard thing to do as a trader. And once you know how to do it, you will be a really wonderful, extremely successful trader. Extremely successful trader. Um, and yeah, but if you do it on your own, most likely you'll have like 1 year of suffering. That is the challenging part about it because it's extremely challenging. So that's all I wanted to say. It's a really good option for traders.
I think it makes you grow. With trading, you realized so many things you need to work on. You never even realized that you will ever work in your life. So I think that's a natural part. Suffering is, I think, even with the business, suffering is a natural. I think even when you're walking, let's say I'm walking right now, or like we are even standing on the earth right now, there is a conflict with the gravity. So there's certain type of conflicts. In conversations, there are conflicts, but through those conflicts, you actually grow, and I think there's no other way. So we talked about how to um, we talked about the systems, about habits, how to build them. But now let's take a real life example. Let's say we want to build our life right now. We want to reinvent it, and we want to do it either on the paper or in Google Sheets. How would somebody go about it?
So, first of all, the easiest way to do it is to create a 30-day 30-day plan. There's actually two things that comes to my mind. Um, first of all, it's a habit tracking system. That is the easiest way. Actually, yeah, it's just two different ways of tracking habits. So you can do one way of tracking your habit by creating like a calendar, right? So you have basically a calendar look. So you have just all the days that are lined up. And so what you would do is you would have an X. You just mark an X on every single version or every single time you have something that you want to do. All you do is just mark an X. And that's a simple strategy on paper and even just in like Google Sheets. You create a calendar and you just mark an X. Like it's best if you write it down, becomes more physical. And that is a huge, huge help because you're going to realize that once you start to build these X's up over time, you don't want to miss out on the next X. You don't want to miss out on this beautiful looking thing. And you want to make it look really good. So there's another pleasure inside of it, just besides completing it. And this is a very, very easy way to create a strategy like this to just simply create a habit tracking system. Another version of it that could recommend is you you take like a few habits, okay? So you have like a few habits that you want and you have in mind. Okay, this is a really bad eraser. Um, and the idea is you can create a point system. And so this is an interesting concept as well. Like you have to judge yourself on how many points you want to give every time you complete the action. And so, because not all actions are equal, not all things are equal like that. And so, for example, when you wake up versus when you brush your teeth, I think those are like as soon as you wake up exactly the time that you told yourself, that is more points than it is to like brush your teeth or to like make your bed, in my opinion. And so, if you want to get all of the habits or all of the things that you would like to do within a day that you know you should do and you tell yourself you want to do, you write them all down in a list. Okay. And then all you do is go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So the habit, the days of the week, and then the goal for the number of points that you want to achieve, and then the result of what you actually did. And so this is a weekly thing, a weekly tracking system that you involve in. And so then over time, you see all of these different habits. And then you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And you gave yourself how many points? Like you see the number of points for that exact habit. Over time, you see, okay, am I in line with my goal? Am I going to hit my goal for the number of points I'm going to receive for this? And yes, great. Okay, excellent. If not, then I need to reassess. I need to look at this. I need to analyze. I need to look at what's wrong with my systems, what's wrong with my mindset, what's wrong with my emotions, what's wrong with my feelings, anything. And then you see results at the end. And so you just keep replaying this, recycling it every single week, and you become truly unstoppable when you track your habits like that.
So you mentioned a concept called habit stacking. So stacking similar habits at one block of time. So let's say in the morning I have certain things I do. So first thing I would do, I would I would make my tea. So each day I'm drinking about 1.5 liters of chamomile. It's not chamomile, it's mint tea on English. And so that's the first thing I made. Then I drink about zero point 0.1 deciliter of uh, a powder mixer that I made. It's with um, curcumin, ashwagandha, salt, and like different electrolytes stuck together. So that's the first thing I do. Then, because now I live on a village, I want to eat organic food. Actually, in my backyard, we have chicken that we actually grow. And so I would go out and I would let the chickens go out and eat out in the field. Then I would get back inside. Then I would do 5 push-ups, five like jumping jacks, and 5 lunges. So when I'm done, so all of those habits takes me 1 minute or something. Then I would sit at my couch and then I would meditate listen actually to hypnosis for 10 minutes. Then I will listen for my trading mantra, which is 2 minutes. Actually, it's a dialogue. It's actually monologue that I made, like with my voice, like my trading mantra, how I want my day to look like. And then I would listen to 5 minute breath work. So all of these habits are really short, and I'm using, I'm actually stacking audio habits at one block of time. I'm not spreading them around throughout the whole day. It's so much easier to execute when I already have my headphones, already have my certain things in place. I can execute them much easier. And when I'm done with that, I'm going to do my training, which is about up to 30 minutes. When I'm done with that, I go back inside, take a shower, and then I jump on the charts. And by 8:30, I already done my analysis. I've done my habits. I wake up around 6:30. Naturally, no alarms. And so, but before that, I believe that before that, also there needs to be certain things in place. So, for example, at 8:30, all lights in my house are shut down. So only I get is red infrared light. So this is where I'm right now. It's reddish, all red, and so it helps my eyes, helps my tune me down for the sleep. At 8:30, I also make chamomile tea, which is good for sleep. I drink with magnesium bisglycinate. So when I get all of that, I do my stretching, and then I'm ready for the bed. And so waking up and doing all of those things that I just mentioned becomes so much easier. But as Sam mentioned, there needs to be certain system in place. So if there are three things, Sam, that contribute most to your structure, daily routine, and so forth, what would that be?
Sure thing. Yeah, I love what you did as well. You have a really good system for your morning and evenings, and I believe those are everything. As a trader, the most important thing is your biology. And if you have a bad biology, like you don't take care of your body and you eat cheeseburgers all the time, you don't eat the right stuff, you're not going to be good at trading. You have to know what this type of stuff does for you. And so having a morning routine, having a wind down routine or like an evening routine, like you have in place, that is wonderful. And that will help you in so many areas of your life, not just being able to be mentally clear. And when you're building them, like when you have this big like thing after thing after thing in this habit stacking, the most important part is the cue in this part, because when you're stacking your habits like this, the trigger at the beginning is going to be, the first part is like a time, right? So that first cue is the time as soon as you wake up, or for you, you turn your lights off, right? So that means that's the time, right? That's another cue. And then the cue for the next habit, say for example, when I wake up, I walk downstairs and then I turn on my TV to play some breath work and meditation. So the first cue is I woke up. The second cue is seeing my TV. And then as soon as I finish my breath work and my meditation, there has to be the next cue for the next habit. So basically, you take the end of a certain habit and you create that as the cue, the trigger for the next habit. And so then for me, as soon as I finish my breath work, the next thing I would do is I get a thought of how can I get into my body? And so like all of a sudden my next habit is to exercise as soon as I finish my breath work, because I feel so powerful and I feel super energetic and I want to move. I want to get more into my body. And so that's the next cue for me to stack on the next habit, which is exercise. And so simple like that, I already stacked three habits. I wake up at 6 a.m. I then walk downstairs and I see my TV. As soon as I see my TV, I then turn on my breath work because as soon as I open it, I go to YouTube right away. It's the easiest thing to click. And the first thing that shows up, it's already a breathwork meditation. Easy. So then I do that. And then from there, after I finish that, the next cue is for me to do exercise. And that's basically all I do as my morning routine anymore because I don't want to overcomplicate it. Um, but that I think is just the biggest factor when you're asking about habit stacking because this actually, and then of course at the end of like say your morning routine, you want to be super clear on like all the rewards that you're going to get from that as well, like again the dopamine that you're going to get and then the removal of cortisol of the suffering and the pain. Yeah, that's really as simple as it gets when it comes to habit stacking.
Also, you and me are not okay. I'm not married yet. I'm getting there. I don't have kids. You don't have kids, and also we don't work traditional jobs. For people that are working traditional jobs, have kids, I like for some people this sounds maybe sounds as a science fiction. I believe I think it's always the problem when it comes to structure, not predefining. Like even so, let's say Q is turning on YouTube, then you need to find a certain breath work, certain meditations. But then let's say you already predefine everything. You have downloaded everything. You have it ready, and so I believe even for busy people, even this might sound as a science fiction for some of them. I believe it always comes to structure and system for people that are working 9 to 5 and like having the work and need to do certain things. Also, you can write questions in the chat. For people that are having those things that need to take kids to the kindergarten, what would be solution for them?
Hmm. Yeah, so the
I
the
remember,
busy
sorry, I
people.
remember one of the classes there was a woman. I think she was from UK or Sweden or something. She's having a certain type of disease. I don't know if it's, I forgot. Is it? If you remember that woman, she was. It was her last day in the Nang on your class. She had to
Ah,
fly back, and so she had some type of
yeah.
disease. Every time she needs to go to restroom or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, I
And
remember
so
her.
she always has something coming up, always having something, let's say your busy part, you always having that child that is coming up to you, wants to play, wants to eat, and so forth. What would be the solution for such people?
Yeah, that's a really, 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 really good question because I find that most people are like that. However, when you would say that it comes down to like your systems and I agree to a certain level, but it's actually your priority. What is the most priority to you? Second of obviously this one thing that's taking up all of your time, or maybe third if it's like your job and then your kids, right? You have already two huge priorities, your job and then your kids. And then the next thing that is of priority or of importance to you needs to be the thing that you are doing, that you want to do. Maybe it's your building your trading, or if it's building a new habit. These things is all about your priority. And it's extremely challenging because you get pulled in so many different directions. You get pulled in so many different directions. Your energy is now being given to everyone and every little thing that is going on. And it becomes so hard to kind of just keep yourself composed and keep yourself like maintained without draining completely. And so there needs to be because you have to basically go based on your flow. And so what I would recommend is to create something that you know is like a super habit for you. And for me, it's an ice bath because it takes also 5 minutes out of my day, and it's like it's in my front yard. I have already the tub, and I just get in there. I have the ice delivered exactly at the same time every day. But maybe you don't have that luxury to be able to do that. It can be like you have, Nicola, which is the idea of having an audio that you listen to. Maybe it's a specific audio that you have on YouTube, Or for me, like I created actually like a meditation audio of my voice and I put music behind it and it's 6 minutes. So if your day is so busy that you don't have 6 minutes to do this one habit to get you clear minded, your energy reset, and feeling like you're giving to yourself, because that feeling of like you recognize that you're giving to yourself and you're able to be at peace for at least 6 minutes is the best feeling ever. And I know that with my how busy my dad is, and how it can get very chaotic in so many people's days. And if you have this time, 6 minutes, and you remember what to do, you just open up this habit, you open up this audio, and you just do it for that time. You have to do it based on the flow of the day. And whenever you think, because again, like you said, it's chaotic, right? So you don't ever know who is going to grab your attention and want something from you. And maybe the kids are gone, or maybe all of a sudden your bowels have, been maintained. And so you don't need to go to the bathroom and have a lot of trouble within your body as much. So all of a sudden, now you can continue to do this habit. And it just happens in the middle of the day. Like you have to find a segment in your day very much based on your energy and the expectations of the day, and then you'll be able to pinpoint, and maybe it's the same exact one all the time, because usually if you're aware of the time, and like one actually here, this is a really good trick. um I would recommend this, is if you know you have a really busy day all the time, go into like your journal, okay? And then I would do what you can call a 55-5 strategy. 55 minutes, whatever you're doing for the hour, you just do. But then the last 5 minutes of the hour, you try to just note down what you did. This helps for also entrepreneurs as well. But when you're trying to understand your time
Mm.
more and you want to be able to implement more things into your day and get more stuff done, not be so chaotic, awareness of your time is so key. And so by doing this little trick and tracking your time of like what you did and what was going on can help you start to implement new strategies, new habits into your day. And then you over time start to see some consistencies. You start to see certain things that go on that are very, very similar. The kids come home all the time at this time. The kids always bother me at this time. Oh, my stomach usually bothers me at this time. And so you start to see little consistencies over time, and then you'll be able to start to implement more without your throughout your day. That's a huge one.
I think one of the most powerful things that you mentioned like today is your priorities. I think most of the people when they say they don't have time or like they don't have time to execute certain things comes back to priorities. How bad do you want certain thing? How bad do you want like certain things in life and so forth? How bad do you want that partner? How bad do you want to become a certain uh, the certain how to say that the certain level of a person you trying to get? How bad you want it? I think it all comes to that, and when you have that as a priority, excuses just naturally disappear. I can. There's we have one question for from Josip. Thank you for answering on that question. I can give one good example from yesterday. I had a trade on gold. I was shorting it, and yesterday was the 4th of July. Happy, I forgot to say that Independence Day. Um, I probably you celebrated with your friend yesterday. Uh, Happy 4th of July, Sam. So
Yeah, it's already okay. Thank you.
yeah, it's already over,
Cool.
but yeah. So what happened is I have my take profit targets. I know what I want to target. I knew what the risk reward I want to target. But then if I was if it was a regular day, like no bank holiday, US market was working regularly and so forth, I would say closing the trade before the price came to my take profit would be impulsive decision. But then yesterday I made intuitive decisions because I realized there's a low volume, there are no players in the market. Institutional players are celebrating sovereign heptones, having a time of their life, enjoying with their friends. And I was like, this this trade will not get to my take profit level. What actually was a really good decision? Actually, I actually took profits before my take profit level, and then the price would trace back, and then it would probably even hit my stop loss level. But in this case, that was intuitive decision. So intuition is calm energy that impulses rush. Okay, excellent set. So let's say somebody is actually need to have a conversation with their partner, and they want to have nice dialogue, nice conversation without yelling and screaming at each other. I think this question uh, can be also um, matched with such conversation. So how would somebody go about it, having intuitive conversation, having coming to conversation much more naturally than having an impulsive conversation?
Wow. When you address this stuff in your life will absolutely change. And what I'm talking about is how to deal with fear. Okay. What you did and what you brought up right there is a little bit in a fear based situation. And so that has to do with self trust and also self worth. And these things are the wow, like the foundations of a lot of life, like nearly all areas of life, and especially in trading. It's extremely important in trading because you will only make the amount of money that you think you're worth, but then you will also execute based on the level of self-trust that you have within yourself. And that energy of like self-worth and self-trust energy, when you're going into like hard conversations, for example, you there's a somatic thing that goes on with fear. So that means like there's a body feeling and a fear feeling, or like you feel it in your chest, you feel it in your stomach, maybe feel it in your shoulders or your eyes. Somewhere in your body, you're going to feel some stress. You're going to feel some fear that is showing up. And the easiest way, because what happens in this that we're looking at is a difference between the subconscious mind and the conscious mind. The conscious mind is the one that's trying to be very active and the one that's trying to do all the work. But the subconscious mind is the one that is scared and has bad self-worth, that has bad self-trust in most opinions, because we have grown up always to believe that we're not enough. It's something that has to do with like deep human behavior psychology. And when we're looking into this, the subconscious, the bridge between the subconscious and the conscious mind is the breath. This is the bridge between the two and how you can become more, well, I could say in control of your subconscious, especially when it's trying to take over and tell you you're not good enough. You're going to screw this conversation up. You're going to screw this trade up. You have to execute. You have to leave now. Like, especially when, when you take a trade and it's going down, right? And you're like, oh, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to double down even more. And so then you're thinking because it's going to go up and it's going to execute the way that you wanted it to. But now your fear of wanting to leave that is way worse than it is, and you're going to keep going down and down and down. My friend who is a psychology coach, trading psychology coach, he lost 100K by this exact thing because he didn't know how to connect to his breath. And that is extremely challenging. You have to know in the moment to like breathe. Give me 4 minutes, give me 2 minutes. And I'll give you a really great breathing technique. It's called the box breathing, which is 4 seconds inhale, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds exhale, and then 4 seconds hold. If you do this, not many people will tell you the way that I tell you. You breathe the littlest amount of air possible. And that gives you more of a vagus nerve response. So the nerve that runs from the back of your head all the way down your spine. And this is the nerve that creates so much fear, and it controls so much of your area in your chest, your stomach, every single nerve ending that it's connected to. And so you must be able to tap into it and relax it. And this by breathing slowly and as little as possible, like you're almost gasping for air, like you want to take another breath in. That is you relaxing actually. Another one I can give you is just a 1 to 2 ratio of breathing. So if you breathe in like let's say you breathe in 3 seconds, you're going to breathe out 6 seconds. So a 1 to 2 ratio, right? And that by breathing out longer exhales, you create also more relaxed processes within your body. And then from there, you'll be able to think clearer. You'll be able to think much clearer and make rational decisions.
Excellent, Sammy. Actually, we're coming to the end of the call. I said we're going to keep our call about 1 hour long. Really enjoyed conversation. So much value, so much uh, great tips, so much insights that can help others, navigate trading and systems and build routines about around the life. So I'm really grateful. So I want to point out that Sam has amazing community called School of You. And so, what I would have to invite Sam to share a little bit about how you guys can work with Sam, what you can learn, and what are you going to get out of it.
Totally. Yeah, the School of You is just like the community that I have of just like my inner circle of people that just like care about personal growth, because I believe that when you look at the internal world, it's always going to be exact replica or creation of the external, like all of your outcomes. So that you have to create the inner outcomes to create the external outcomes. That's just the people that I surround myself with and I care about. And so within the School of You, there is a program that I would love to share with you guys. It's called the Self System. And so the Self System is basically a really intriguing system where we understand self awareness, we understand really deep beliefs about yourself, and then also creating a huge discipline system. A nervous system reset to be able to hold more stress, hold more money, and hold more wins. Um, it's a huge self process. I always believe, and I've said this to you so many times, Nicola, you versus you. It's always you versus you. And this self system will basically give you the entire system, basically, the map, the method to be able to have easy execution on your trades, and then also execution in your life, but especially when things are not going your way. That is the most important part of like why I created this in the first place, because when you want things to go your way but it's not, that is when you need to have this even more. Not when you're winning, and that's also helpful when you're winning, and it's great to have it because you can stay consistent with that. But the self system is going to teach you the toolkits to reset after losses without spiraling, and especially having a clear plan for consistent identity shaping tools that has so much to do with self trust, self worth, and that is biggest thing when it comes to life and trading. And it's everything that I do. And so if you guys would love to work with me and you want to just have a free strategy call, I would love to just jump on a call with any one of you and we can talk about you specifically and see how it would make sense for you. And maybe I'll share with you some things into your life and how you can start to implement some of these things as well. So I can share that and we can just find a time, just you and I, and be able to figure out if this is the right process and the right program for you to start to take your trading to the next level, and then also take your life to the next level.
Uh, Excellent. I think people that have a chaotic life and like what we spoke today sounded as science fiction would be excellent start. And just getting access to your community and certain tools. We're going to share it later. I'm going to share everything the summary of this call and like in the main chat. But I believe tools that Sam has would be life changing for most of you. If you want to meet Sam in person, you can go to the Nang. Uh, I'm coming in a few months. I'm coming back in a few months, Sammy. And I can't wait. Honestly, remember when I came back last year, I was, oh my God, I was so excited to get back uh, to Da Nang because it's on Sunday. So those classes on Sunday at 1 p.m., if I remember correctly. And then you come there, it's a good energy. Everybody's ready to work on themselves. And also, Sam has online component, which is also a part that for the people that cannot uh, come to the Nang, but also is also beneficial. Thank you, Sammy, so much for sharing these insights and a lot of ton of values. I believe it helped even on this call. Just one call helped to everybody a lot. And yeah, see you on the next one of the next calls, Sammy, and we stay in touch. And of course, I would also like to extend invitation to stay in the group where you can also share different insights. It's on Balkan language, but you can go uh, Google Translate and just see what we're talking about. Thank you once again, and see you soon, guys.
All right. Wonderful to be here, guys. Thanks so much. Have a
Ciao,
great
ciao.
weekend.